Good morning and welcome to Funky Rainbow. I don't know what I should describe this Saturday morning as. Should I just say a speechless sort of Saturday morning? I mean, I know, we're all about chatter and books, but this episode of Book Bazaar season 5 is something that really rendered us speechless every time we take a look at the wonderful books, the wordless books that we have in our collection. It is it is after dinosaurs, this was the most in demand theme, and in the Indian children's literature space we do have wordless picture books. I'm not saying that we don't have wordless picture books, but maybe not as many as there are in the Western space. That said, there is still an exciting clutch of wordless picture books in our collection, and we are recommending a couple of them out to you. We can see friends up here already this morning. Good morning to my friends on Instagram who've joined us just now. Joanne Saldana, what a pleasure to see you. I know you came in for a bit last week, and I hope your trip to the UK has yielded many book treasures that you will share with us going forward. I mean, it's such a pleasure to have you back at the Bazaar, and you're saying you're really excited about this theme. You have a huge soft corner for wordless books. Who doesn't really? And Jyoti Narayan, good morning. It's lovely to see the work that you've been doing with some Bombay schools, to promote books and reading, and it just gives us so much pleasure when books people join us on the show, because there's just some maza. There's so much fun about what you all are saying about the books as well. Fantastic learning for us when we exchange our thoughts like this across the show. Muttama, you're joining us from Chandigarh. What a pleasure that you are. I thought you were scouting for some schools to, for us to take our books to. I think you're taking a break today, possibly, and having a good time. And you, of course, say it best. Surprising that a chatterbox is having a wordless theme for the bazaar. Well and truly said. But I did begin saying that this is a speechless sort of Saturday morning for me. Lovely to have you join us all the way from Chandigarh. Absolutely looking forward to the fantastic schools, to hearing about the fantastic schools that you have been meeting across the last 2-3 days. Really looking forward to hearing those stories, Mutama. Haripriya Batula, what a pleasure. You say you can't wait for the book recommendations. We can't wait to make them as well. Arunji, always lovely when you join us and say that familiar hello. In fact, everybody at the office, is looking at the live stream and they're like, Arun hasn't joined. Wait. We'll just wait for a second before he comes online, and then, we will start off our show. Good morning. And I can imagine that you're absolutely looking forward to listening to Priya Kurian. She is our guest for today. She will join us at 12 noon, and I'm sure she has wonderful things to say about wordless picture books. Apurva Ashok, so lovely that you've been able to join us. You're a young mum, and I know that's hands full, and you run reading programs and a book program, recommending books to readers of all ages. And I see very often, people commending you on the work that you do, of reaching the right books to readers. I think it's just fantastic. And you too say, and Anita Venugopal, of course, who's joined us, with Devansh in tow, saying excited to hear from Priya Kurian. Really, like I say, when readers and book lovers and librarians and book recommenders, join us on the show every Saturday, it's just such a buzzy and wonderful feeling. Before I get started with my recommendations, I'm just going to tell you about another thing that has absolutely rendered all of us speechless at Funky Rainbow. We have an invitation from the Frankfurt Book Fair this year. There is a recommendation to, I mean, they have invited, me as part of a book curators program from independent bookstores. And it's just, I can't tell you how delighted we are that we're going to have this opportunity to, take Funky Rainbow's work onto a global, onto an international platform. It is something that utterly and absolutely left us speechless, literally, when that invitation came by. And we were waiting. I was waiting for the visa to come in, and it has. And I'm really, really now looking forward to being a part of. It's 20 book curators from across the world who have been invited to this program, and I'm just absolutely delighted that they have asked. They have found that Funky Rainbow's work exciting enough to invite me to Frankfurt. It is just absolutely thrilling moment for us. Tara Veera Raghavan, you're saying, good morning. Such a pleasure that you've joined us. Jyoti Narayan saying, my son Priyan loves Priya Kurian's work, especially Beauty is Missing. He bought multiple copies to gift to his friends. Anita Venugopal congratulating Team Funky Rainbow, saying, so happy to hear this. And Joanne saying, oh, wow. Well, the comments going up really, really quickly. So I'm taking all your congratulations. And I really, really wish, I have what it takes to to even do a video from Frankfurt. It would just be lovely. The thought of meeting 15 to 20, I'm not exactly sure how many people are there in that program, 15 to 20 book curators from across the world. I mean, it's just such a thrilling, moment for all of us at Funky Rainbow. And I wish I pick up the skills to even shoot one decent video while I'm there. If not, when I come back, there's going to be a lot of chatter around it. But I have to say, it's the consistent work of this team, putting our heads down and, going through the rough and tumble of the pandemic, right? I mean, to be able to do that and to continue to promote Indian children's books, and the unstinting support of people like you. I mean, folks, it's 2.5 years. You're still with us, watching us, cheering us on from the sidelines, sending us messages, telling us what themes you'd like to see. It's just lovely. I think it's all this that has pushed us and given us a platform internationally. We will keep you posted on what unfolds at Frankfurt. And I can see, Arun saying your students of middle school laughed out aloud when I shared Amachi's glasses. Archana Atri, so lovely to see you here this morning. You're saying, so happy for you all funkies. Kala Kantan, what a pleasure. It's so nice to see you, Vidya, last Saturday, you mean, on the Buzzaar. And Prabha saying, today morning I was into wordless books and the first book that came into mind is Amachi's Glasses. Happy to be here. It's just lovely. And I'm going to get started with my recommendations. We're hoping we can continue to do something of the Bazaar. We know Kengeri Hanumanta has, taken a hiatus. And I'm hoping that when I'm away in Frankfurt, Kengeri will keep you all entertained with stories and books. I'm going to get started with my recommendations. And I really, really thank you from the bottom of our hearts, all of us at Funky Rainbow, thanking you from the bottom of our hearts for this unstinting cheering and support. So my first recommendation this morning, a lovely, lovely book which comes in a pack of 4 called Peekaboo. But I've pulled out one from this collection called Who's Hungry? This one is a Tara book, written and illustrated, written, quotes, unquotes, written and illustrated by Kaori Takahashi, which is a superb story about who's hungry. Look at the tactile beauty of this book. All right, so who's hungry? Well, you open the page to find out, and you open further, and you open further as well. Whoops. My tactile skills quite poor, evidently. And then you open, and then you open and you realize who's hungry. Really, what a beautiful, beautiful wordless book. And there's something to see at the back which absolutely always makes my heart go and this one, superb. It comes in a pack of 4 books called Peek a Book, but recently Tara has started to do them independently as well. And Joanne, you're right. It's so cleverly and so wonderfully put together. Tactile books, so few of them in the Indian collections, and this one, a fantastic. All the 4 books in the box. All wordless books that make the young reader. I mean, can you just imagine the thrill of knowing how to open the pages? Which way to turn the pages and what emerges, and it's a story that can be woven so marvelously well around these books. So yes, the Peek-a-Book box, an absolute favorite at Funky Rainbow. Our next recommendation is a lovely, lovely new book that Muttama telling me, Deepta was telling me that this is the first set of books that she picked up for her little one from us. That is just utterly lovely. I think Kauri's work, and we also have that other one, Knock Knock, which we haven't put in here because it does have some words. But, I find in a lot of classifications of wordless books, there are books that have a few words that still sort of qualify as wordless picture books. So there are a couple in our collection where a few words have sneaked in, but we didn't put Knock Knock in because there are more words than just a little words. Now, one of the things that I kind of wanted to say was that, when the concept of wordless books, the introduction of it was primarily, at the work, at the work that we do at Funky Rainbow. I mean, when I was a child, I don't recall, sort of looking at that many wordless books, although we had a lot of Russian books. And I remember some of those books were actually in Russian, which means you were just looking at the pictures. And I know we had a few that were not translated into English. And what were you doing? You were just inferring the story while looking at the pictures. So when we really got into wordless books, I was like, man, I mean, I love reading and I love words. And, I love reading words. I love the way they turn into phrases. I love the way those phrases become sentences. And then love how those sentences become paragraphs. And all the wordplay and all the clever thing. And I was like, man, the task of looking at a wordless picture book is rather daunting, isn't it? Really, right? Till actually your adult eyes, learn to unlearn. You need to unlearn and you need to take a look at the pages and you need to look again. And my God, how much potential wordless picture books have. And I'm sure our guests today, Priya Kurian, will have a lot of interesting things to say on how we can use picture books, how adults can use picture books very well with readers of all ages. Joanne Saldana saying, Knock Knock never fails to leave my students fascinated. It seems like they keep on exploring it until their soul is satisfied. Absolutely. So, so very well said. I mean, I think wordless picture books empower readers to use their own imagination, to find their own vocabularies, and to become interpreters of the story, right? I mean, you have to interpret the story. And there is, for adults, I always say this, there is no right story or there is no wrong story, because whoever is seeing is looking at it just in the way that, and whoever is looking at it is interpreting it in the way that they want to do. And I think that's something that we really must encourage young readers to do. Our next recommendation this morning is a lovely, lovely wordless book. And I know Pratham, after the super, super success of Amachi's Glasses, which I really think kick-started the second wave of wordless books, because they do exist from, publishers like NBT, brought out books in the late 80s, early 90s. There are wordless picture books that they did, but this new tsunami of picture books, which Pratham has sort of really taken forward, I think was that momentum for that came from the incredible Amachi's Glasses. So this one that I'm recommending now, Circles in the Park, written by Veena Prasad and illustrated by that wonderful, wonderful art director and illustrator, Kenato Jimo. a beautiful book about two children, Golu and Tama, who go to the park to play. And what do they see around them? Well, they see circles, they see semicircles, they see quarter circles. I mean, what a charming way to introduce the concept of circles in a park, and to tell children about half circles, tell children about quarter circles, and ask them to find what you need to find. It is just an charming, and these are slim books, so beautiful. I mean, the protagonists certainly don't need to be Golu and Tama if the child doesn't want. The child can give any name to these the protagonists in this book. The boy and girl who discover circles in the park. A beautiful, beautiful book, from Pratham. Absolutely wordless and absolutely enjoyable. Like I said, NBT really has done a lot of wordless picture books, and we have so many of them put up over here today. We have 1 to 10 Procession. I've recommended that at the Buzzaar so often. Mickey Patel's beautiful book that explains the numbers through a wedding procession. But one of my favorite all-time favorite NBT books, which is wordless, is Manjula Padmanabhan's. I'm a giant admirer of Manjula Padmanabhan. Manjula Padmanabhan's A Visit to the City Market. This is just such a beautiful book about, again, two children who go off with their mother to the city market. Look at those illustrations. Just look at look at the immense possibilities that unfurl on this page. I mean, you can see there's just all kinds of vegetables. The little girl is posting a letter. The boy is holding a bag of fruit, but it's broken, and all the fruit has tumbled out. And just so many things. Imagine telling a child to identify things that are orange on the page, or things that are green on the page, and even more so asking them to knit a story around these pictures. I'm 100% sure that every child and every adult sitting with that child will enjoy that exercise so beautifully. You see the mothers then moving on to buy baskets, and there's a little hen, and I mean, there is a hen with three little chicks. So the girl is calling the boy. I assume that they are siblings, but there's no need to follow through with those assumptions at all. And you can say he's almost going to run to see those little chicks. Now, what a fantastic potential this story has. Like I said, each page, Manjula Padmanabhan just packs the pages with images, and these images, such a great way. I mean, I think you can just lead your child on a picture walk, through this book and through any other wordless picture book. And I can see, hi, my name is Priyan. I like the books you're showing. Thank you very much. So lovely of you, Priyan, to be watching this show. It's just such a pleasure when young people like you and Devansh and Avyukt and Ameya are sitting and watching with us. It just makes us feel that there is, young people too love books and are interested in discovering them. Muttama saying, this book is so dear to me, reminds me of the time that I used to go to the market with my mother. And yes, utterly charming old world, old world market charm. And I think all of us would have memories of accompanying our parents to the market. A book that follows soon after, and I'm not going to get into the details of that one, is A Visit to the Zoo. Perfect pair of books for you to pick up: A Visit to the City Market and A Visit to the Zoo. Both excellent books from NBT, and I'm sure have been in print for at least 3 decades now. Again, even A Visit to the Zoo, entirely wordless and wonderful. Next, we move on to, and I'm just looking at what's up in our list. There is, of course, the lovely wordless book that actually came before Amachi's Glasses, and a creator whose work we greatly admire, Nivedita Subramaniam with Flutterfly. I can't tell you what a beauty of a book Flutterfly is, actually, right? I mean, so perfect for imaginations, for readers young and old, and Nivedita really bringing a lot into this wonderful story about something that's fluttering around. What happens to this something that's fluttering around? And you can see so beautifully this interplay of black and white and color. Truly a wonderful book, in this collection of wordless picture books that we have. So what of this Flutterfly? What does it do? Well, this little boy is sleeping and it's fluttering, and you've got to figure out, does it, where has it come from, where is it going to go, and what of the colors? I mean, how do you identify which one is the Flutterfly? There are lots and lots of butterflies when the story begins. As you can see, the boy has so many butterflies printed on his pillow cover. Do you think this Flutterfly is one that's escaped from that pillow? Well, your guess is as good as mine. And I think the power of imagination, and I love this spread. Look at what the flutterfly or the butterfly, where the butterfly has fluttered to, and where is it sitting? Is it sitting on somebody's nose? Is it sitting on somebody's shoulders? Is it sitting on somebody's ears? What fantastic possibilities in a book like this! Utterly brilliant. And this thing of people, and we've encountered this very, very often. We'll go to a school pop-up, and there will be adults who say, what, no words? I mean, give me a book that has a lot of words. I mean, really, it's time for us to unlearn that premise, and it's time for us to say that each of these books, each of these wordless picture books empower readers to really make inferences, to really understand. See, what happens when the words are taken off? You're gleaning the story through the pictures. It improves your visual literacy. You have to find your own vocabulary to think up the story. You have to make inferences. You have to go with, you have to turn the pages and discover your own story. Imagine the thrill of doing this with a young reader. So no words is absolutely not a no-no as far as we are concerned. And books like Flutterfly, we say 0+, but really these books can be read across the years. I know many parents and teachers and librarians have used these books with reluctant readers, even much older reluctant readers, to draw them into the pleasure of discovering the power of a story as it unfurls on the pages. Archana saying, and words like Flutterfly encourage wordplay and word creation. That's absolutely right. In fact, we always tell parents and teachers and librarians who are working with wordless picture books to start with the title and ask the child to imagine what could lie inside. Take a look at the cover, take a look at the title of the book, and as you say, books like Flutterfly absolutely encouraging imaginative wordplay as well. You do know Nivedita's other book, Amama Sari. I don't have to talk about it, but again, a priceless and excellent wordless picture book in our collection, Nivedita Subramaniam's Amama Sari. I know Flutterfly was not in print for a long time, and it sort of came back only recently, so have absolutely chosen to recommend that one. Joanne saying, these books are for kids of all ages, but important that the adult refrains from reading, quote unquote, them to the child. It is important for the child to be given the space to express. Actually, I completely believe that it demands more of the adult as well. When you're sitting with the child and you don't have conventional words to be reading them a story, if you make this a joyous process, like, Joanne has said, like giving the child the space to interpret, the story as you go along, it can be such a fantastic exercise that adult and child can undertake, or two children can undertake, even two adults can most definitely undertake. Our next set of recommendations, and and of course, you say I'm a huge fan of Nivedita Subramaniam's work. She is just such a thinking, creator of books, and it's just lovely. I mean, we've had the pleasure of interviewing her once, and it was excellent to hear her thoughts, from the perspective of a writer, of an illustrator, of a designer, and someone who's been in the Indian kidlit space for so many years and done a variety of books. A wonderful conversation indeed it was. We must invite her on the Bazaar sometime soon, but really, really, absolutely worth admiring her work. Our next set of recommendations are these two lovely board books, and we I mean, it's such a pleasure for even an adult to look at these books. In fact, when Melly Gobai's The Tree book came to us the first time, it was just, we had, I think, maybe 10, 15 copies at the office of this book. And within 10 days, it was gone, because there was just so much so much demand for this book. I think, a lot of publicity put out by the publishers, and a lot of attention turned to Meli Gobai's work. You just needed to look at this beautiful little book of art, from really one of India's finest painters, to understand what the charm of Meli Gobai is. I mean, what is in this? There's a leaf, there's a branch, there's fruit, there's birds, there's nests, there's butterflies, there's a snail. What is the book doing, though? It's telling, I mean, in no words, the story of a tree. I'm so delighted that Speaking Tiger decided to reprint this one fairly recently. I'm assuming, 6 months ago. I just think there must have been so much pressure on them, because after those 15 copies went off our shelves, maybe a year or year and a half ago, the book never came back. And we'd had multiple requests, of a lot of Montessori schools, writing in saying, we really do want this book. I'm utterly delighted that the wonderful Meli Gobai's board book, The Tree book, is back in print again, and completely wordless. Absolutely. I'm just going to show you. I mean, look at the fantastic art, look at the way he's imagined the story of a tree, and just think of the endless possibilities that exist, with when give the book to a young reader, or, you kind of sit with a young reader and see the story of the tree through their eyes. There's another pair book with this one called The Body Book. And I do know that lots and lots of people want children to be introduced to the human body. This is a great one, entirely wordless. Again, fabulous art. I mean, these are undoubtedly wordless books, but they are also beautiful little art books. And, through these images, the great painter Mehli Gobai really showing readers, young and old, in this one, about the wonder that the human body is. Just look at it. Look, what are the different body parts? How do they move? What do they do in the body? And, are you just, you're not, discovering it like an encyclopedia. It's a wordless book. You just have to open its pages, admire the art, and be charmed by the wonder that the human body is. Two fantastic books for readers, young and old, The Tree book and the body book by artist Meli Gobai, that absolutely has, I think, that will have readers, young and old, in thrall. So do consider picking these ones up if you feel that that your readers in your vicinity will enjoy them. Of course, as always, all these books and more up on our website, www.funkyrainbow.com. Click on the tab that says Book Bazaar. It'll drop down. The drop down menu will take you to different seasons. This is season 5. There's an entire set of books called Wordless Picture Books. I'm really hoping, I think we have, how many wordless picture books in our collection, Netra? How many books in all? Maybe 40? perhaps 40 books or so. And I'm just hoping in a year or two that number definitely doubles. Not all of them in stock with us at the moment, but many of these that we're recommending most definitely are. Our next set of recommendations, and I'm just going to keep a watch on time because we do want to spend a lot of our time chatting with Priya Korean, whose most delightful Amati's Glasses has had readers, and the testimony to that, and how many of you are telling us that your students, or you yourself, or like the young readers that you introduce the book to, just chuckling uproariously over Amachi's antics in Amachi's Glasses. So the next set of books that we're going to recommend brings us back to Pratham, and we have picked some of the more recent ones, the more recent wordless ones that have come into our shelves. And this one I just utterly love. It's called The Theatre of Ghosts. I know Pratham says that these are level one books, but they are just one notch more complicated than, let's say, Circles in the Park, which is also a level one book. Here, the child has to infer a story. No right or wrong story, of course, but there are panels, where Circles in the Park just, had pages where one particular thing was happening. In a book like The Theatre of Ghosts, written and illustrated by Pankaj Saikia, you can see that there are panels. The pages are actually split into panels, and wordlessly you have to join, because we know the names of the characters. You have to join Junali and Rimjim, who are off to see the bhavana. What is the bhavana? It's the traditional drama that is staged on the banks of the river Majoli in Assam. And what happens when what happens when that traditional drama is staged? Well, there are shadows that loom everywhere. And what are those shadows? This is such a it's a beauty. I mean, of course, it celebrates the folk practice of Assam, most definitely, yes. But there's just so much mischief replete in its pages. And I just love the way Pankaj Saikia has illustrated this, really, right? Look at it. Look at the way the boys are teasing the girls. Look at the way they're laughing at each other. What do you think is going to unfold in this beautiful, beautiful story based on the traditional drama of Assam called the Bhavana? Really an excellent book this illustration. I mean, it made me laugh, but I'm wondering, if I was there amidst those shadows, I'm not sure I would have been laughing. Just going to show you one more page, just and not give away all the story. You've got to pick up the book to discover the charm of The Theatre of Ghosts. You've got to catch this play for sure. These are all level one books, but I said, as you can see, one notch higher, really, right? From the level one wordless books, that the Circles in the Park kind of level one books that I showed you. This one and the next one, which is a hot favorite, Kanato Jimo's Snip. Again, a story, a wordless picture book in exactly the same tradition. You can see what happens. Avi and Tutu, Avi and Tutu, and I mean, names, but these are names that any name, it could be anything. It could be, any names that the child wants to give these characters. What do Avi and Toto do? Their parents are off to work, and a pair of scissors absolutely turns their world upside down. What happens? Again, you can see, they are images on the pages, but you can see that there are pictures within pictures, for instance. So you can see this frame, and you can see the one where you can see what Toto is doing. She is picking up a pair of scissors and starting to cut her hair. What we love about these level one Pratham books is the focus on absolute mischief. In fact, I think, look at the cover of this book. I mean, ask a child, do you know what these two children are up to. I mean, on right from the cover, you know that they're up to loads of mischief and loads of fun. Now, what happens? Okay, now she's cut her hair, and Avi too has cut his hair, and they look rather alarmed with the way the hair has been cut. Now, what do they do? They are like, and just look at that image. There's a photograph of the there. Even in the photograph, the people in the photograph looking in somewhat of an alarm about what the pair of twins have done to their hair. A fantastic wordless story, really making the children piece together the story so beautifully, and it can be pieced together in any which way, really. So another one in the level 1 series, from Pratham, a snip, which has rightfully won many, many awards. And of course, a third one in that set, which we utterly love to, and we just have so few copies of, Ikru's First Day at School. This one by Sunaina Coelho will find a place in every young schoolgoer's heart. I mean, it is Ikru's story. Ikru is going to go to school, and what is that first day at school going to be like? I mean, it brings alive, just without using words, the unexpected delights of what a school can do, but also the quiet fears. I mean, come on, let's not kid ourselves. Many people were very happy about, many children are very happy about going to school, the first day of school. But there's also some quiet fears. I mean, will I make friends? Whom am I going to meet at school? How's my teacher going to be, really? And what a lovely way to bring alive the first day at school without any words at all. And this is Ikru, of course, in this story. And you can see the teacher is saying hello to Ikru and takes experience of school like on the first day. You absolutely have to pick up this delightful book to find out. And Sunaina Kolu, marvelous artist, and whose work we have enjoyed in so many books over the years. And this one, lovely humor that comes out. And in fact, in all the three wordless books that I recommended just now, from the Pratham stable, so much humor coming through the pages and the illustrations. What time is it? Okay, I have just a clutter more books before we bring Priya live to join us. We've got to recommend books in some of the regional languages. Now, like I said, one of the classifications of wordless picture books is that books with maybe a word or two here and there also qualifying as wordless picture books. What's your opinion on that? You need to tell me. I mean, there are a couple of books that have like maybe a sentence. I mean, for those of you who've seen Good Dog Carl, Alexandra Day's Good Dog Carl, it has one sentence on the first page, and then the rest of the book is wordless. So does that qualify as a wordless book? I would love to hear your opinions, because if you say yes, that qualifies as a wordless book, there are a clutch of more that we will add into our collection, which we've left out because they're not entirely wordless. Archana saying Ikru and Snip, both delightful books, and I love how wordless picture books are bringing forth India's cultural diversity. Absolutely. Snip set in the Northeast, Kano Jimo's own a place, and he brings alive that space for readers just through pictures. Pankaj Saikia's doing that for Assam, and of course Ikru's First Day at School could be a child anyway. So of course, we didn't want to leave out books from regional languages. I can see Mutama sending out a big yes, saying I vote yes. The books with just a sentence or two can qualify as wordless picture books. Arun saying, I always feel that kids enjoy that as well. One can see that as wordless. And Joanne saying, I think it does, because you still need to read read the pictures for the rest of the story. Absolutely, I couldn't agree. Now that I have a yes from so many of you, I think post the bazaar we'll add in at least another 5 6 books. I know this one called Amma by that Iktara brought out, illustrated by Kavita Singh Kale. It just has the words Amma right through, and one sentence, in the end, where the boy who's lost at a mela, asking us to, asking where his mother can be, where he can find his mother. But the one that I'm recommending at the moment, and it falls into that bracket, Amma, is absolutely stunning. You say, yes, I just love that book, Joanne. Fabulous book. And that anecdote just brings so many chuckles every time we say it, of this little boy who says, have you seen an Amma who should have a son like me? Right? It's not entirely, I mean, it's just such a fantastic logic. It's a child's logic, really, right? To say, I'm looking for my mother, and can you, help me find a lady who should be having a son like me? Archana saying, I think wordless should be wordless, not dilute them with even a single word. I know the opinion on that. I mean, yes, really wordless books should not have any words in it. But Archana, I mean, every list that I've scoured in the last couple of years, on in the Western context, puts Good Dog Carl into the wordless picture book list. And it does have a line, right? It just does have a line of the mother saying, bye bye, I have to go to the store, or some such, saying that I have to go out for a bit. And what does Good Dog Carl do? My God, what a delightful, we have the board book version of it, and we have the picture book version of it as well. And I'm just going to be very tempted to add that into the wordless bazaar, but I do buy your point on not having a single word. Now look at the book that I'm recommending, Jab Main Moti Ko Ghar Lai. In fact, this is one that we absolutely delighted in its pages and illustrations. Lovely black and white illustrations, the story and the illustrations by Proiti Roy. Well, what is it? It's about a little girl, who, as you can see from the story, just sees a little dog when she's out with her mother. Now they have to get on, the mother and the girl are at the market, and they have to go elsewhere. And you can see they have to get on a bus, but the girl can't take her eyes off the dog, and the dog, of course, can't take her eyes off the little girl. And what happens now? This book, entirely wordless, except for the last page. I'm not going to show you the last page because it's just going to give away the book. There is one line in the last page, and I mean, really, I'm so happy that you guys have expressed your opinions on it. I'm so tempted to add it into and it's the reason why we've picked it and recommending it at the Wordless Bazaar. Sometimes I wish they'd really not put in that line at all. It was not required, I feel, but it's a charming little book about a little girl and a little dog, and you've got to read this to figure out what the story is all about. And of course, you're all familiar with Proiti Roy's illustrations. What a pleasure it is to see her illustrative work in this book by Iktara. And there's one in Kannada called The Seed. It's called The Seed, written by Shweta G. Nambiar, which is entirely wordless, done by this new publisher, who's been probably sending us books now for a year, maybe, or a year and a half, called Yellara Pustaka. What a lovely, imaginative kind of wordless picture book it is. And yes, this is in Kannada, but I think anybody can read it. Even if you didn't know Kannada, you could absolutely read it because there are no words in it at all. So what is the story about? It's about planting a seed. And what happens when you plant a seed? Do you just, plant it? Well, you plant care, you plant love, you plant dreams, you plant and you make a connection with what you're planting. And there's also the uncertainty, right? There is also the uncertainty. But what there is when you plant a seed is there are also endless possibilities. And what do you think happens in the story? There's something that grows along with that seed that you're planting in the ground. What a lovely, lovely book. And Archana, I couldn't, you said wordless in Kannada, really an oxymoron, if ever there was one. But you can see seed, on the title in Kannada and in English. And well, yes, no words, but in a particular language. Such a lovely thing to see regional language publishing too, bringing out excellent wordless books. And we definitely recommend Seed. For people across the country, because like you say, like we just said, no words, so no language, no bar whatsoever. So that was from Yellara Pustaka. I'm just going to close with one last recommendation. There were a clutch of books, but you can check them all out subsequently. But I'm going to perhaps close with this beautiful recommendation, which is one of our favorite books from Tara again, An Indian Beach by Day and Night by Joël Jolivet. What a fantastic wordless book. I mean, if I open it out, and I'm sure many, many of you are familiar with it already, but if you're not, what a masterpiece of a book this really is. I mean, it's going to take a lot to sort of just open it out, but I'm opening it out and putting it out in front of me, and you can just see no words anywhere. There's pictures outside and inside, and it has this beautiful circular shape that you can make. You can just get a child, even an adult, and a big one at that as well, to sit right in the middle of this circle that you're making. Now, what happens in this book? What you see on that side is what's on a beach, on an Indian beach. And when you see what's inside, and I'm sure you can see it for a bit, at least when I put it out like that, what you see of what's inside is what is underwater. Just think of the possibilities that emerge from this book. I mean, there are fishermen, there are women selling flowers, there's people selling, chana or sundal, as we say. I feel that this is a Chennai beach, basically a beach in Madras, but you can interpret it as any kind of beach. French artist, Joël Jolivet, taking you, outside, introducing you to the charm of the beach on the outside, and also showing you what is right inside. And folding it, my God, a tactile charm of its own, to be able to fold it, put it back into its cover. And the books, and these ones come with little, come with little pamphlets that would be really useful for parents and teachers, librarians and adults, on what you can do with a book like this. Archana saying, yay for regional publishers, though. Absolutely. A big shout out to go out to them. And Joanne saying, love this. It's set in Chennai. Our copy is taped up in multiple places. No guesses why. Absolutely. Muttama saying it's a huge favorite with young moms and Montessorians. And, in fact, Joanne saying the fish are endemic to the fish that we saw inside, endemic to those found off the coast of Chennai. What a fantastic wordless and tactile book. Tara really giving us, such treasures that we can use with readers of all ages. There were a clutch of other recommendations that I did want to make, but there are, you can go through it, www.funkyrainbow.com. Click on the tab that says Book Buzzaar, drop down menu taking you to season 5. There's one tag that says wordless picture books, like we have Manjari Chakravarti's This Is Where We Live. We have some of Shantan's books, like The Arrival, for instance, which is an absolutely wordless graphic novel that I so love and that I can read over and over and over again. We do have mostly, of course, only Indian books, and a clutch of the foreign ones, like I said, Shantan and Good Dog Carl in board book format and picture book format. So it was such a pleasure. I can see what a huge fan following there is for for wordless books. And it's no wonder that after dinosaurs, that was the most requested theme. I'm utterly delighted that we were able to present some of the priceless gems from the Indian kidlit space. And of course, Joanne has Hearts for Shantan, so many other lovely books as well, which we are slowly going to hope that we can source. They haven't come into us very easily. The Red Tree, for instance, we just couldn't get the copies of other graphic novels, I mean, other wordless picture books by Shantan, but we're hoping we'll be able to source them across the next couple of weeks and put them into this collection. But let's get to that most exciting part of the show where we talk, with Priya Kurian, the girl who's the creator whose book absolutely set the ball rolling on wordless picture books another time round, with Amachi's glasses. Sham, is Priya there? And can we say hello and then send her an invitation on Instagram? Hey, Priya.
Hi.
I'm just going to can hear you. You have a massive, massive fan following. People have been waiting for you to come up on the show. And we are so utterly delighted. And you can see, we're going up, Arunji, who's a librarian from Hyderabad, saying, Yay, and hello, Priya Korean. I've been waiting so long to, listen to
Hi.
such a conversation with you. And you're going to get a flurry of comments, but we'll send out the Instagram invite before we start
Okay.
chatting. Yeah. Sham, can we send off the Instagram invite? Just give us a minute before, and you can all say your hellos to Priya while we are connecting with her on Instagram. Sham?
Hi. Thank you for having me here.
I'm going to, there's drum rolls going up. Joanne
Okay.
Saldana saying she's so excited. Arun is saying, finally, we can't wait, to listen into this chat with Priya. Haripriya Batula runs a community library in Hyderabad saying, woohoo, so excited to hear Priya. Jyoti Narayan commenting about Shantan. And of course, I could see Joanne Saldana talking about David Weisner and Isa
Yeah.
Watanabe. I think Priya has definitely got Shantan on her list. We too did have the arrival on our list, Priya, but our focus quite a lot on Indian children's books only. And Jyoti Narayan, of course, talking about Flotsam and Rules of Summer, wonderful wordless books that exist, in the Western context. Have you sent out the invitation, Priya?
I think
Can
I've
you
joined.
accept? Has she received have you received the invitation, Priya?
Yeah, I have, and
And you've
I
accepted? Has
requested
it
to
come up?
join.
Just a second. We're just waiting for it to come up. Muttama, who's in Chandigarh at the moment, sending a giant drum roll your way, saying, Yay, welcome, Priya. A book pickle saying, Hello, Priya, big fan. Wonderful to meet you here today. I just love it how people are like, Archana Atri, I remember during the pandemic, said that she used to meet her friends for chai on a Saturday. Is Priya up here? Yeah, okay. So you're up on Instagram. And for our friends on Instagram, sorry you had to wait for a bit, but we are live now. So Archana was telling us that they used to meet, a bunch of friends used to meet every Saturday to have a cup of chai. And because everything was shut down, they met on the bazaar. So the friends would be chit-chatting with each
Oh,
other, while the bazaar was
nice.
going on. And I'm like, that's the kind of adda that we absolutely love. And I can see everybody saying exactly that just right now,
Yeah.
I mean, of how excited they are to see you. So, ladies and gentlemen, and the young children who are watching, Priya Kurian needing no introduction only. I think an entire bazaar can be devoted only to Priya Kurian's books, or multiple bazaars can be devoted to Priya Kurian's books. And, she's one of our most favorite children's books writer, illustrator, comics maker, and that avatar that she has as a doodler, where she finds people in the cities, in the different cities that she travels to, or the different small towns that she travels to, and makes such wonderful caricatures of them, Priya. They are just, if you feel on any time of the day that you need a mood lift, you need to just come and take a look at those wonderful caricatures that you make of people. Of course, Priya has also directed educational films for Sesame Street Show in India and the Children's Film Society of India. And of course, she's illustrated numerous children's books for, I don't know, countless Indian publishers, really. We have I mean, if we started to show you the covers of Priya Kurian's books, and we have a couple of the new ones that we've put up, Sham, you can show them out. These are just some of the new ones. We could simply just devote an bazaar or two or three to Priya Kurian's work. So welcome, Priya. So lovely to have you join us. Oops. And as we said, welcome. She's dropped off. Possibly an internet glitch. Let's see. She should be back up again. Arun, you're saying Amachi's glasses remained a hit with all ages in my library. I can absolutely imagine that. Apurva Ashok saying, hi Priya, so excited to see you. I love all your books. And of course, Sham putting up a clutch of Priya's books. Joanne saying, my students were oohing over Priya's Indira illustrations just a few days ago. And what a wide spectrum of work, really, right? From wordless books to picture books to chapter books to, graphic novels. She's done that, she's done a fantastic graphic thing in Eat the Sky, Drink the Ocean, just spanning the spectrum, and some wonderful covers for books for adults as well. I know she did Manu Pillai's book. I know she's done M. Mukundan's Delhi. Priya really, a prolific creator, and we're just utterly delighted. Janaki Sabesh, so lovely to see you, here this morning. Wonderful storyteller saying she's a huge fan of Priya. Hari Priya saying, of course, we love all of Priya's paper cut illustrations. Is she back, Sham? Okay, all right. Do we need to reconnect on Instagram again? Okay, it's all right,
I'm
Priya.
back. Sorry.
As we were welcoming you, you disappeared. Like, right? I'm like, okay, is she sending out a message of protest? Just bad internet. And we were just saying how much work you've done. I mean, from picture books to chapter books to books for middle readers, graphic novels, because Joanne was saying her students absolutely were enjoying Indra
Yeah.
only recently. I mean, I was also talking about the covers of books for adults that you've done: Manu Pillai's The Mahatma, The Courtesan and the Mahatma, M. Mukundan's JCB prize-winning novel Delhi. There's just so much work. I mean, is there a time when you're not working? Is my first question to you,
Yeah.
really,
There are
right?
times when I don't have work to do.
Not possible at all. I think it's not possible at all. And Haripriya Batula saying, how they love the paper cut illustrations, especially on the Poop book and the Miracle on Sundarbag Street, the collage style ones that you do. And Archana saying, my nerds sometimes pick up books if they're illustrated by Priya, who has written the story, isn't even consequential at that point in time. Full fan following happening
It's too
only
kind.
for but, ladies and gentlemen, she's here because of this iconic book that came out, fairly recently, Amachi's Glasses. And I really think it set the ball rolling on wordless picture books all over again. And I mean, there are several from NBT, Mickey Patel's Procession. There is Pulak Biswas's Busy Ants, Manjula
Yeah.
Padmanabhan's A Visit to the City Market. But I think there was a lull in wordless picture books for a point in time. And Amachi's Glasses just simply getting the momentum going on them. And of course, yesterday when we were chatting with her, another wordless picture book that she has done, Bow Meow Wow. And I'm going to put this thing out to Archana. Archana, Priya, we had this discussion on whether if one or two words are there, can we sneak it into the wordless picture book category? And the opinion was
Or
yes.
precisely 3 in this case.
but there are people who say no. When you say wordless, let there be not even one word in the book. And I'm showing Archana as one of those proponents. And I wanted to say this delightful wordless picture book about a dog and a cat and a hilarious encounter between the two of them that absolutely, and I'm not going to give away more than this on the show, but there are precisely three words, Archana. I have put it into this bazaar in any case. Priya Kurian's marvelous wordless picture books, Amachi's Glasses, and Wow Meow. So that's the reason we are here talking to her. So Priya, let me get started with my first question. You literally just set the ball rolling on a new wave of wordless picture books with Amachi's Glasses. Tell us the backstory. How did the book come about to be?
Radhika, who's an editor at Tulika Books, she had pushed me to kind of, make something of my own, like a book, because I had done a couple of books with Tulika before, but nothing that I had sort of written and illustrated at that point. And so she had actually seen a film that I had made at a student film that I had made, in which the protagonist was like this Amachi. And she put the idea into my head saying that, why don't you do something around that character? And but this was like maybe 5 or 6 years before the book came out. And I'd been thinking about doing a book, thinking about doing that, since she suggested it. And this idea had been there somewhere in the back of my head. And I attended this workshops, Quibi workshops. So Anushka Ravi Shankar and Shuddha Sato Basu. So they
Oh,
had conducted, the picture book writing workshop, and I attended it. And it was in those 2 3 days that I finally got like the time to just think about this one thing. Otherwise, I was doing multiple things at the same time and not really paying any attention to my own book. So in those 3 days, I sort of uh, made a storyboard with this character in mind, and it was not even an Amachi. I mean, like a Kerala Amachi at that point. It was just like an old grandmother, just wearing a sari and all that. And I'd sent it to Tulika, and I tried to put words and all in it, like these rhyming words, and it was really rubbish. And thankfully, Radhika was very, the editors, were very frank and told me, please remove these words and see if the book might work without the words itself. And then that's how it became a wordless book. It was quite unintentional in that sense.
oh, lovely.
And yeah, then I think it took a year for me to kind of make the book happen, just to get the artworks done and all that after that point. And yeah, that's basically the backstory. The Amachi is sort of inspired by my own grandmother, my
I
dad's
know.
mom, who used to wear this chatta and mun, that dress that she's wearing. It's a
Uh-huh.
very, it's specific to Kerala. It's quite a funny dress in some ways, because it has this little fan at the back. So I used to find that really kind of amusing. This pleat at the back of your butt, and it was almost like a little bird. But at the same time, so my grandmother used to only wear that. So, it becomes like one of those characters in these comics where you see the character wear the same dress uh, day after day after
Right.
day. So she was like
Right.
that in the same, you only saw her in that, and I've never seen her wear anything else. So it became
So
sort of
that
this
was that.
iconic. It was perfect for for character design.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so that was your own Amachi.
Yeah, yeah, that's my own grandmother.
Okay, so
And she
so
looks a
so
lot
I
like
mean,
this, actually. She also had chin hair, which she used to ask me to pluck off sometimes.
and I mean, it was quirky like this Amachi. I mean, this Amachi's got so much attitude, really.
Yeah, I mean, she had like these pet phrases, and she was quite, yeah, she had. quite a few quirks, and very sporting person. Extremely sporting and very open-minded, despite being like 80 years old. So
Lovely.
yeah,
I
so
can
she
see
was fun.
one one comment. I mean, people saying, Joanne saying, "I just love the backstory." It's really, I mean, so basically, the editorial team, took off the words. I mean, otherwise, you
Yeah,
meant it as
absolutely. I think
imagine
that's
just
why
that
it's
people.
important to work with editors sometimes because they like objectively look, you fall in love with your drawings and art and all that sometimes, but that objective feedback is quite it's quite precious.
Absolutely, absolutely. One, Facebook user saying, oh, okay, that's it. It's Sham who sent out a question saying, "What did you do with the words that you took off?"
I tore them and burnt them. They were so bad.
And Arun saying that I think one should really write backstories of book. That will be such an interesting book on its own, really. So how did you think up this delightful? I mean, of course, we know that there's the backstory, and there was an Amici in the film that Radhika had seen, but once you knew that it was going to be wordless, what came first? Was there like like the words, did they form in your head, or did the pictures come up in your head first? And how did that process flow?
I think it's always the pictures for me. Words definitely, and as you in this case, they're not natural to me. I think, but yeah, but words definitely. I'd done that rough storyboard, and I
Hmm.
use that as the basis to kind of carry the story forward. And then it was just about getting all the details into the story right. And unlike a book with words, I didn't have to worry about that space that is there to kind of you have to leave in terms of the how the book is composed. So I don't have to
Absolutely.
it's a different way of composing the page. You don't have to leave space or do all that. So which was really great because then you have more space to work with, add more details. And so yeah, after that it was just about adding, like, just fleshing the whole visual out more and more.
No, that's right. What a liberating, see, that's such a fantastic perspective you just shared. No space to be left for text, so you just get the whole
Larger
page to play
canvas.
with, basically, right? And yeah, it must be so liberating for a creator like you. In fact, somebody, again, I think it's Sham who says, so do you quote unquote write a wordless book or draw it,
No,
basically?
I just draw it. It was impossible. I find it very difficult. I mean, I know it's like if you look at it in terms of film language, it's like writing a screenplay or where you. So I don't do that. I don't say the camera is on this angle and it's a wide angle shot and no, nothing like that. It's much easier to just draw it out in a doodle and explain. It's only me that needs to know what's going on. So even if my doodles are horrible, I know what 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 exactly I'm going to do at the end of it.
So it sounds, for somebody who's fascinated by words, like, right, I mean, words becoming phrases, becoming sentences. I mean, to think that an entire book was conceptualized without the words at all, really, right, is like, my God,
Yeah.
what a marvel that
Yeah, but
creation
I think
really
it
is.
is a language, no? I mean, like I feel that it is visuals that maybe come more instinctively to humans than, I mean, if you look at the cave paintings, it is a
Yes,
language.
yes.
So I'm sure that instinct to kind of draw is just there in every adult as well. But I think adults are shy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just, for the real word readers, like, right. I mean, often in our younger school, college days, we would keep writing down the lyrics of songs. I mean, you'd be listening to say Smooth Operator or whatever it is, or Michael Jackson, and you'd really write down the things. And at some point, I used to think that, gosh, that writing was like the was. Oh, okay. Priya's gone off. It's okay. I think your B Live stream's gone off, Priya. So you're going to need to kind of connect again. And of course, so many comments coming in while Priya comes back. Muttama saying, quirky is such an Ambachi's trait. And I love the way she described that little fan at the back of the sari, which is such a peculiar way of wearing it. Yeah, there you're back, Priya, again, really. And I was just saying, some of us, sorry, again, oops. Arun, we'll ask her your question as soon as she comes back on the screen. Shweta Sharan, you're saying, hey Priya, my daughter is a huge fan of Beauty is Missing. They had it in school and it was such a big hit. I mean, I could see Jyoti Narayan, also referring to Beauty is Missing. What a fabulous book. We've run out of it entirely at Funky Rainbow. We had lots and lots and lots of copies, but they're all gone. I mean, everybody's talking about Beauty is Missing. Shweta Sharan has joined us from Bombay. Arun's actually asking, what was your reaction, to the responses you received for Amachi's glasses after the words were removed?
The response from the editors?
I mean, like, what did you feel when they kind of pulled out your words? Did
I
you
was
see?
frankly quite relieved because I think in my heart of heart, I knew the words weren't good. So I think, yeah, it was, for me, it was relief. That's what I felt.
So fully championing
I
editors
did,
at the
I did
moment.
in fact think, I mean, okay, there are no words, so does this qualify as like a, book? But then that was a very short, uh, a very short interlude in my thoughts.
Absolutely. I mean, fully championing the role of editors. It makes sense to listen to
Yeah,
your
yeah.
editors and your publishers. They will, they sometimes see what you perhaps can't see in your own work. You're, of course, the author and illustrator of this book. I mean, it's your first wordless one, Amachi's Glasses, really, right? So, did it really change the way that you, work on books once you did this first wordless one, Priya?
Yeah, for one, I felt that I should do more of my own books where I'm basically the creator, the writer, as well as the illustrator. It gave me that the guts to kind of do something like that, and also, I mean, when then I saw that it was well received, so then I it just validates your that feeling that those visuals are so powerful that it can do so much of the work of in a story or in a picture book. And also kids really enjoyed the book. So actually, so much of what happens in the book is so bizarre, and I think kids are willing to suspend their disbelief, and yet have a sense of reality, that this is not this is I'm taking you through like this fantasy ride, and that's okay. And then they can come back to, the reality after they have sort of enjoyed this story. So I think, yeah, so I think like the way kids kind of received the story was I was quite surprised by that.
My God, we can't tell you. I know, you've. I mean, there's just not a single person who doesn't pick it up when you, show it out to them. I know you've said you have a favorite spread. Would you like to talk about that one?
Yeah, this one for multiple reasons. First of all, I think I get the biggest laughs when from kids when they see this spread of this, cat being given a bath. Also, there are so many stories behind this that I remember somebody on Facebook told there was like this slight. Uh, a small discussion among parents, whether there's that underwear and that bra that you see behind, whether it's like a good thing, to. show in a children's book. So I enjoyed that whole discussion. I was watching it on Facebook. I sort of enjoyed that discussion. And then some parents said, one of my a kid looked at that page and said, "Oh, there are Amachi's glasses." So he was actually referring to that red thing in the background. That I got. I also like it was nice. There are also these. So I'm an 80s kid, and there are all these, Surf Excel and VIP underwear, and also it was fun, sort of, putting those references into the book. And I actually received an email from somebody in the marketing team at VIP saying that we would like to kind of distribute this book among our because we
Among
see
people
that
who buy underwear?
you have used our garment. No, we would like to feature it in our newsletter, and I don't, yeah, so there were lots of things. Yeah, so that particular spread is, I think, quite special.
Sham had a great quip. He said, "It VIP, that means a very important picture book, perhaps, really." That is just hilarious. I can't believe VIP wrote to you and said, "You should have just said, yes, please, give a copy, buy a copy, and give it to everybody who buys these
Yeah.
garments." That is such a hilarious anecdote, Priya. I'm going to share it with everyone who I know I've gifted the book to and who has absolutely enjoyed it. Archana, of course, I mean, Arun saying that I always enjoy how kids express their feelings when they are reading Amachi's Glasses. He's with a school in Hyderabad, so obviously, using the book with children. And Archana saying, I was once asked by a nerd if wordless picture books are created only by illustrators. Are there
Okay.
only illustrators creating wordless picture books? Good question.
Oh, I'm not. I'm actually not aware of any like a writer illustrator duo that has created a wordless book. Oh wait, no, but that has numbers. There is Rajiv had done this book on numbers. No, but that has words. With
You're talking of
where
one to this
one, two,
the
yeah,
counting
that's
book that
fine.
he's done for
Yeah,
Tulika,
yeah, it's a
right?
counting
Yeah,
book.
yeah.
Hmm. I mean, but yeah, I'm not aware of
Yeah, I
any,
think,
yeah,
everything that we've put out and recommended
put out
today in
is,
the course of the bazaar, all done only by, there's no
yeah,
pair working on it.
yeah.
It's mostly, just one
Which
person
is,
who's,
I mean, interestingly, I'm doing a comic with, um, Kokachi Studios.
uh-huh,
They do comics,
that's right,
and they're based in Kochi. So I'm doing
Kochi.
a wordless comic book with them, which Pratik, who is one of the partners at Kokachi, has written. So he has
Ah,
done the screenplay, and
okay.
so
Okay.
yeah, so yeah, that so I guess that's how it works. If somebody would do a combined
Worthless.
wordless
Yeah,
picture
that's a
book.
lovely questions from the nerds,
Yeah.
Archana, really. And, we are going to see one from Priya. Hopefully, it'll be out next year or this year. I don't know, but possibly next year, where she's illustrated somebody's word, like,
Yeah.
Pratik's words, basically, right? Sorry. Yeah, somebody else's wordlessness has been illustrated by Priya, but that was absolutely a hilarious anecdote about VIP. Now, do you think, because most people watching us are adults, and they must be using these books with children, of different ages. Do you think wordless books are better for a solitary reading experience, or more exciting as a read aloud, or like a joint read aloud, Priya?
I think both. They work both ways. So it really depends on what mood the kid is in or the adult is in, for that matter. I think it works both ways. For example, the I can imagine the Tara book that you showed, the one that opens up about the beach, Julie Jolie's book. I can imagine a kid just sprawled on the ground, opened up and just kind of slowly taking in things. But at the same time, I think it could be a nice group thing where kids are together noticing things, details in the book. So I think they work both ways. And uh, I think wordless books also, if they're, I mean, it's being read out, so-called read out by a parent. There's a lot of interaction between the parent and the kid as well.
Correct.
So you have parents sort of pointing out, and then the kid themselves, the child will have his own vocabulary for the story that is being shown to him or her. So yeah, I think I definitely both ways. I don't think it's meant for just one sort of reading.
Yeah, truly believe that. I think also it demands more of the adult. You really need to engage. You can't just,
Yeah.
foist it on. I mean, of course, if the child wants to be left alone and, discover endless possibilities themselves, great.
Yeah.
But, even when you are part of this, but that's just lovely. Yeah, can be used in multiple ways.
Mhm.
Whatever, what are some of your favorite wordless picture books, Priya? Will you tell us about a couple of them?
Yeah, so I'd shared a couple of them with you. So I've got the latest one that I bought. So I'm a collector of wordless books. So this one by Peter
Okay.
Van Den, it's called The Wanderer, and
Okay.
it's the journey of a little paper boat, but it's just one of those books that you can quietly read. You don't really have to kind of be with a parent or lots to see. Just it's very very detailed, and it's this boat going on a journey through different kinds of fantastical landscapes. It sometimes reminds me of another favorite, which is
Oh,
Flotsam
yes,
by
David
David
Weisner.
Weissner. And again, it's also it's got this nice circular plot where at the end of it, it comes back to sort of comes back to the beginning, where you have this camera, and this camera has been capturing pictures from places where people have never been to, perhaps. And it's just these really fantastical drawings, and the art is just amazing. So you can just stare and
Absolutely.
stare and stare at the artwork. um, I love Manjula Padmanabhan's
Oh,
uh,
yes.
because again, if you've grown up in the 80s, it's just so much nostalgia for
Yes.
that time. uh, it's just lovely. It's got lovely drawings, great details. I like this one as well,
This is where we live.
Where
Yes.
We Live by Manjuri. Uh,
Chakravarti.
it again, it's a very quiet book, but it really a lot of again lot of detailing in it, and you can sort of quietly sit and yes, take a look at
Absolutely.
all these
I know.
lovely yeah, oh yeah.
We had it in our list of recommendations as
Yeah,
well. But yeah, like you said, such a quiet and lovely
yeah.
book, really. Yeah.
And of course, Shantan. I mean, I love The Lost Thing, The Arrival. Um,
Yes.
Another among the Indian, like so many new Indian books. I mean, Kanato's Snip, which I'm
Yes.
sure you already discussed. Then there's Theatre of Ghosts
Oh,
by
so
Pankaj.
lovely. Pankaj Saikia's
Yeah.
book, really
And I have
mischievous.
I have stockpiled Dugga in
Yes.
Radha. So this is one of my biggest favorites.
We would have put Dugga in our list of recommendations, but we have no copies of it.
Oh,
Rajiv
I
I
do.
himself bought several copies of that from us, and
I'm going to
we're
sell it for
protesting,
gold.
like, why did you take them away? I can see Shweta Sharan saying Amama's Sari is a wordless book written and
All
illustrated by
right.
Nivedita Subramaniam. We recommended Flutterfly on this show, Shweta, because
Yeah.
that's the one that she did first, and we've recommended Amama's several times, but both lovely, lovely, wordless picture books.
And yeah, then this one, Footpath Flowers.
Footpath Flowers. So I have to read this one. I saw
Yeah,
your
this is
list and I
pretty
was like,
beautiful because it's just again, it's about this little girl who's traveling through a city with her dad. Her dad is, of course, not noticing anything, and it's just her picking flowers off, these different
ah,
sidewalks in the city, and it's just beautiful. And the use of color and just those little moments in the book, which are it makes you all these books. I feel like really make you feel something. They evoke. and that's what visuals do. They can, you don't have to go through writing and that, that process of words making you feel something and making you visualize something. So that's not there. It's much more direct, and you just look at it and you immediately have this um, emotion that you feel in your stomach, gut.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What lovely choices, really. And Jyoti saying we did Manjari's Where We Live and absolutely enjoyed it when she worked with it. It's such a lovely book. We had it in our list of recommendations, and it's wonderful that the wordless picture books are now coming out at different levels as well, right? For the youngest readers, the Manjari's is a little
Yeah.
bit more sophisticated, a little bit sort of higher, and I think hopefully in another year or two, typically in a bazaar we have at least 60 books on a theme, or 70 books that we can put into on our site, and we probably have about 40 wordless picture books in the Indian context at the moment, and I'm hoping in the coming years many more will come up. But we just love the choices that you have made, and going to try and get a couple of those in at Funky Rainbow. Definitely, Priya,
Yeah.
thank you for those wonderful suggestions. Janaki Sabesh saying, wherever I have performed Amachis, it's always a hit. Now, of course, my one question that I had was, how can adults, I mean, most of us watching adults, how can we use wordless picture books effectively with children? I mean, besides leaving them alone with it, of course, and letting them imagine what they want to, how do you think we can use it effectively?
I think just I think, and just giving that time to read with kids is itself a big thing. If you kind of can sit with them and also let them. I feel like let them tell the story,
Mm.
uh, because of course you might have to. Also, they don't read it once or twice. I've had parents come and tell me that almost complaining that they have to read Amachi's glasses every day to the the kid. So I think that thing of repetition is a huge thing with kids. So I think, yeah, just sitting with them and letting them tell the story as well is I think a great way to read with them. Uh,
Absolutely. Besides, like you said earlier, just enjoying that thing of doing something together with
yeah.
children, really, right? It's been so lovely chatting with you, Priya. I mean, I can't tell you how many requests we've had. I mean, after dinosaurs, wordless picture books was the most in demand theme, basically, like, right? And utterly and absolutely delighted that you joined us at the show. You can
Yeah.
see from
Thank
all the
you.
comments that are going up, Arun saying, thank you, Priya, I need to buy 3 books that I don't have in my that I don't have at the moment. Wonderful collection that you showed. Really, we're going to try and put a couple of those into Funky Rainbow as well, although our focus is entirely on Indian children's books. What a pleasure it was. Sorry. Of, oh yes, okay. Sham's like, wait. I have to show pictures of Priya's workspace,
Oh
like, right?
God.
Because we were like, Priya, give us some pictures of you working, and she's like, I don't have any pictures. Nobody can take pictures of me working, but she did send her workspace, and people, you just see it, and then you'll know why Priya is 24/7 creative
That's
and
Vidya's
busy.
mail open on my desktop.
And she's of course got, my god, look at that, Priya. I mean, no wonder you're so creative, no wonder your illustrations and work so colorful. Just loving it. And I can see there's an email, my email, that's open up on that screen. Terrible last minute emails being exchanged. But such a pleasure hosting you on our book bazaar. It's just
Thank
wonderful
you,
always.
Vidya. Thank you, uh, Funky Rainbow.
We'll see you soon,
Yes,
and tell us when the book from Kokachi comes out. We will certainly put
of
it in
course.
our collection. Thank you again, Priya. So that was the inimitable Priya Kurian. Such a pleasure, to be chatting with her, and we can just devote many bazaars entirely to Priya's work. She has over, I'm assuming, 150 books, possibly even more, for children. Arun saying, thank you, FR. Wonderful session as always. Joanne saying, thank you, Priya. So wonderful to hear you talk about your work. Always a fan. And thank you, Team FR, for bringing Priya to this bazaar. Nandita Dakuna, so lovely that you've joined us. We love the quirkiness of Beauty is Missing. Priya's, bringing so much, so much into each and every book that she's illustrated. Book Pickle saying, all in awe. Exactly my words as well. Entirely in awe of these wonderful creators who do so much for our children's books. Janaki Sabesh saying, thank you, Team FR. Just utterly lovely. I'm going to just quickly say hello to all the people who've joined us at the show. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. We will, in my absence, try to put out a couple of shows. Definitely, Kengeri Hanumantarao might come back from hiatus and, tell you a couple of stories and maybe introduce a couple of books as well. But wish us luck, wish us well at Frankfurt, all of you. We know, when we know you're cheering us from the sidelines, it just makes us feel that we're ready to take on the world. Thank you. Thank you so much. And this is shout outs going out to Jyoti Narayan, Book Pickle, Anita Venugopal and Devansh, Apurva Ashok, Janaki Sabesh, Kala Kantan, Archana Atri, Prabha Tendulkar, Haripriya Batula, Arun G, Joanne Saldana, Vasavi, Staring at the Sun, Shaumya, Yashwant, Simi Jason, Joseph, Raji Saumi, Preeti Mandal, Bhumi Gajjar, Mother of Readers, Malini Raghu, Swati, Vinay Reddy, Meenakshi, Ma Janaki, House of Books and Tales, String a Story, The Storytelling, Champaka Books. Such a pleasure when an independent bookstore joins us. Thank you so much for watching our Book Bazaar. We are always and entirely in admiration of what you do at Champaka Books. Sheetal Dambal, Ransho, Saumya Menon, Pratham, Manisha, Sugandhi, Madhu, Studio Zoha, Kunju Mary, Kaveri, Bhavani, Chandra, Trampoline, George, Prajakta, Sufina, Tosha Jagad, Sabrini, Shubha Chetan, Shreya, Aditi, Reju Umen, Minalik, Vivek, Bhavna Sahani, Market My Books, Yahi Studio, The Wild Wind, Bolly Sami, Subjanti Wali, Palak Dawn, Cross Draws, Rachna Books, so much in admiration of independent bookstores. Please put your hands together for Rachna Books, all the way from Gangtok. Raman Sreshta doing such wonderful work at Gangtok, and a British Council Publishing Fellow. He's been selected as one of the British Council Publishing Fellows this year. We're so thrilled that I don't know whether it's you, Raman, or anyone from your team who has joined us, but such a pleasure to have independent bookstores cheering us on as well. And Southpaw, I can see that, Arun saying all the best FR for your trip, looking forward to listening to your experiences. We should have you do a conversation from Frankfurt, Muttama. If I'm even capable of pressing a phone button and getting a video going, I think I would deserve that. But thank you so much for joining us, and we will be, we will keep the shows going across the next week or two, and we'll definitely bring you a lot more books. So this weekend, I hope you check out our collection and try to decode those pictures. And what can I say? Stay speechless. Looking at these wonderful wordless picture books. Crazy Muse saying, thank you for organizing this. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week. Till then, bye bye.